Japanese homes stay organized not through weekend purges, but through small daily habits woven into everyday routines. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into 7 Japanese home organization habits that actually make life easier. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly the most important things about 7 Japanese home organization habits that actually make life easier. Organization as daily practice. When you walk into a Japanese home, you'll notice something immediately. There's a calm, uncluttered feeling even in small apartments. But here's what most people misunderstand. This isn't the result of massive decluttering sessions or expensive storage systems. Japanese home organization works because it's built into daily life as small, consistent habits rather than occasional projects. In Japanese household culture, the concept of seikatsu no chie, wisdom of daily living, emphasizes that maintaining order is about what you do every single day, not what you do once in a while. Each of the 7 habits we're covering today takes just a few minutes, but together they create homes that stay functional and peaceful without constant effort. What makes these habits particularly practical for Western homes is that they don't require special products or a minimalist aesthetic. They're about routines and mindsets that work regardless of your decorating style or how much stuff you own. Let's look at how these daily practices actually function in Japanese households and how you can adapt them to make your own life genuinely easier. Habit 1. Reset each room before leaving it. The first habit is called moto ni modosu, returning things to their origin. In Japanese homes, the practice is simple. Before you leave a room, you take a moment to return items to their designated spots. This isn't about deep cleaning or organizing. It's about putting the TV remote back on the side table, placing the throw blanket over the sofa arm, or returning the coffee mug to the kitchen. The reasoning behind this habit comes from a practical view of time and energy. Japanese household wisdom recognizes that clutter accumulates gradually. A jacket draped over a chair here, a stack of mail on the counter there. By the weekend, you're facing an overwhelming mess that requires an hour to sort through. The reset habit intercepts this process. Those 30 seconds before leaving the living room prevent 30 minutes of cleanup later. In practice, this looks different than you might think. It's not about perfection or making the room look like a showroom. A mother might gather her toddler's toys into their basket before heading to the kitchen. An office worker might close their laptop and tuck their notebook into a drawer before leaving their desk. The key is the transition moment, using the act of leaving one space as a natural trigger for a quick reset. What makes this work in Western homes is adapting it to your actual routines rather than an idealized version. You don't reset a room to magazine-ready standards. You just handle the items you personally used or moved. This keeps the habit quick enough to be sustainable. Over time, it becomes automatic. You reach for that coffee mug on your way out without thinking about it, because returning items becomes part of the motion of moving through your home. Habit 2. The evening 10-minute reset. The second habit is the evening reset, typically done right after dinner or just before bed. In Japanese homes, this is a structured 10-minute routine where family members move through common areas doing quick maintenance tasks. One person might wipe down the kitchen counters, while another gathers scattered items and returns them to their rooms. Someone else might sweep the entryway or fold the throw blankets in the living room. This practice stems from the Japanese concept of shim, properly closing or concluding something. Just as you wouldn't leave a business meeting without summarizing action items, Japanese household culture views the day as something that should be properly concluded. The evening reset serves as that conclusion, creating a clear boundary between the active day and the rest period of night. The 10-minute time frame is intentional and surprisingly effective. It's short enough that no one dreads it, but long enough to make a visible difference. The key is that everyone in the household participates simultaneously. This isn't about one person doing all the work. It's a brief, shared effort. In single-person households, the same principle applies. Set a timer for 10 minutes and move through your space with specific small tasks rather than trying to deep clean anything. What this habit prevents is that Sunday afternoon where you realize your entire home needs attention and you spend hours catching up. By doing 10 minutes every evening, surfaces stay clear, floors stay walkable, and you wake up each morning to a home that feels ready for the day rather than chaotic from yesterday. The psychological impact of this is significant. Starting your day in an already reset space reduces decision fatigue and creates a calmer morning routine. Habit 3. One in, one out, with immediate action. The third habit applies the one in, one out rule, but with a distinctly Japanese twist. The out happens immediately, not eventually. When something new enters a Japanese home, a new shirt, a new kitchen gadget, a new book, something equivalent leaves that same day. This isn't just a principle you agree to, it's an action you complete before the new item even finds its permanent spot. The cultural reasoning here connects to the Japanese value of appropriate quantity, or tekido naryo. The idea is that every category of possession has an appropriate volume for your life and space. One person might need 5 coffee mugs, while another needs 15, but whatever that number is, it stays relatively constant. When you bring in a new mug, an old one departs. This keeps your volume stable without requiring periodic purging sessions. In practice, this means when you come home with a new sweater, you immediately identify which existing sweater it's replacing. That old sweater goes directly into a donation bag that day, not eventually or when I get around to sorting my closet. The new book you bought means selecting a finished book to pass on. The new kitchen utensil means an old one gets removed from the drawer right then. This immediate action is what makes the habit effective, rather than merely aspirational. For Western households, the biggest adjustment is actually following through in the moment, rather than telling yourself you'll handle it later. The Japanese approach recognizes that later creates accumulation. One way to make this easier is keeping a donation box in a convenient location, perhaps in a closet near your entryway. When something needs to leave, it takes 10 seconds to place it in that box. Once the box fills, it goes directly to a donation center. This removes the multi-step barrier that often prevents us from actually releasing items we've decided we don't need. Habit 4. Designated spots for daily use items. The fourth habit involves creating and maintaining designated spots for everything you use daily. In Japanese homes, this practice is called Teiju Basho, fixed dwelling place. The distinction here is that these aren't just theoretical homes for objects. They're locations that make sense for your actual usage patterns and that you consistently use every single day. The Japanese approach to this differs from typical Western organization advice in an important way. The designated spot is determined by where you naturally use and return the item, not where it should logically go. Your keys might live in a bowl by the door, because that's where you naturally drop them when entering. Your reading glasses might have a spot on the kitchen counter, because you read the news there every morning. The location serves your behavior, rather than forcing your behavior to serve an organizational system. Creating these spots requires observing your own patterns for a few days. Where do items tend to accumulate? That's probably where they want to live. A common example is phone chargers. Rather than having one charging station, many Japanese households have small designated charging spots in multiple locations where family members actually use their phones, by the bed, at the kitchen table, on a desk. This matches reality instead of fighting it. The consistency piece is equally important. Once you've established these spots, you use them every time without exception. This is where the habit becomes powerful. Your keys always go in that bowl. Your glasses always return to that counter spot. Within a few weeks, retrieving and returning items becomes automatic. You stop losing things because they're always in their designated location. The mental energy saved from not searching for everyday items is surprisingly significant. Those small frustrations of, "Where did I put my phone?" accumulate throughout the day and create low-level stress that disappears when items have truly reliable homes. Habit 5. Clear surfaces before bed. The fifth habit is specifically about horizontal surfaces, kitchen counters, tables, bathroom vanities, and nightstands. The practice is to clear these surfaces completely before going to bed each night, leaving them bare except for a few intentional items. This connects to the Japanese aesthetic principle of negative space, but the practical benefit goes beyond visual calm. In Japanese household thinking, clear surfaces serve a functional purpose. They keep spaces ready for their next use without requiring setup time. When you wake up to a clear kitchen counter, making breakfast doesn't require moving yesterday's mail and clearing space for your cutting board first. When your bathroom vanity is clear, your morning routine flows smoothly because the space is already prepared. Each surface being ready for use means you spend your time on activities rather than on preparing spaces for activities. The habit works through a simple evening scan. After your 10-minute reset, you take 2 minutes to walk through your home and clear key surfaces. Mail goes into an inbox or gets processed. Toiletries return to drawers or cabinets. Items that belong in other rooms get returned. What remains on each surface should be only the items that genuinely need to be there. A coffee maker on the counter, perhaps a soap dispenser by the sink. Everything else finds a home elsewhere. This habit also reveals what you use and don't use. If an item keeps returning to a counter every day, that's information. Either it needs a home in that room, or you're not actually using it, and it can leave your home entirely. Many people find that once they start clearing surfaces nightly, they realize half the items they thought they needed on their counters were just sitting there unused. The practice becomes both an organizing routine and a gentle, ongoing evaluation of what you actually use versus what you're just storing in visible locations. Habit 6. Category-based homes, not room-based storage. The sixth habit changes how you think about where things live. Instead of storing items in whatever room they happen to land in, Japanese homes use category-based storage. All batteries in one location, all pens in one place, all spare linens in one area. The habit is maintaining these category groupings and always returning items to their category home, even if that means walking to a different room. The reasoning behind this comes from practical efficiency. When batteries are scattered, some in the kitchen junk drawer, some in a bedroom nightstand, some in the garage, you can never see what you actually have. You buy duplicates because you didn't know you already had 4 packs of AAs in 3 different locations. When all batteries live in a single designated spot, you know your inventory at a glance. This principle applies to everything. All gift wrap together, all office supplies together, all reusable bags together. Implementing this habit requires an initial sorting session where you gather scattered categories, but maintaining it is straightforward. When you use batteries, you return the package to the battery location. When you're done with scissors, they go back to the office supply drawer, even if you use them in the kitchen. This creates a slight inconvenience in the moment. You have to walk across the house to return something, but it eliminates the much larger inconvenience of never being able to find anything when you need it. In Western homes, we often default to room-based storage, bathroom things in the bathroom, kitchen things in the kitchen, but this creates problems when you use the same category of items in multiple locations. Rather than having 3 incomplete sets of office supplies in 3 rooms, having 1 complete set in a designated location means you always know where to find what you need. The trade-off is worth it. A few extra steps to return items versus the frustration of searching multiple locations every time you need something. Habit 7. The weekly 15-minute drawer or cabinet check. The 7th habit is a weekly 15-minute check-in with one small storage area. Each week, you spend 15 minutes opening one drawer, cabinet, or shelf and quickly sorting through its contents. This isn't deep cleaning or reorganizing, it's maintenance. You remove items that don't belong, toss anything expired or broken, and straighten what remains. The next week, you move to a different drawer or cabinet. This practice comes from the Japanese concept of kotsu-kotsu, steady, incremental effort. Instead of waiting until storage areas become chaotic and require hours to sort through, this habit keeps them functional through brief, regular attention. By cycling through your storage areas week by week, each space gets checked roughly once every few months, which is frequent enough to prevent serious disorder from building up. The key to making this sustainable is keeping it truly brief and limited. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Choose one specific drawer, just the junk drawer, just the spice cabinet, just the bathroom vanity drawer. When the timer goes off, you're done whether or not the space is perfect. This time boundary prevents the habit from expanding into an overwhelming project. It also means you're never more than 15 minutes away from having completed your weekly organization maintenance. Over time, this habit has a cumulative effect that's larger than you'd expect from such small time investments. Spaces stay functional because they're regularly maintained. You're never shocked by the chaos when you open a cabinet because you saw it 15 minutes ago, 2 months back, and gave it quick attention then. The weekly rhythm also helps you notice when items are consistently being moved or ignored, which informs longer-term decisions about what you keep and where things should live. It's not about achieving perfection, it's about preventing neglect. Making these habits work in your life. Now that we've covered all 7 habits, let's talk about implementation, because knowing about habits and actually doing them are very different things. The Japanese approach to building new routines emphasizes starting extremely small and anchoring new habits to existing ones. This is more effective than trying to adopt all 7 habits at once, which typically leads to doing none of them consistently. Start with whichever single habit feels most natural to your current life. If you already tend to tidy up in the evening, the 10-minute reset might be your entry point. If you struggle with losing everyday items, designated spots for daily use items might be most useful. Choose one habit and commit to it for 2 weeks before adding another. This gives your brain time to automate the behavior before you're asking it to remember something else. Habit stacking is particularly useful here. Attach your new habit to something you already do every day without fail. The room reset habit can stack onto your existing routine of leaving for work. The evening reset can happen right after dinner while you're already in the kitchen. Clear surfaces before bed can follow brushing your teeth. When a new habit is linked to an established one, you're borrowing the automaticity of the old habit to build the new one. Be prepared for the first 2 weeks to feel effortful. This is normal and doesn't mean the habit isn't working for you. Japanese wisdom about behavior change acknowledges that new routines always feel unnatural at first. The goal isn't for it to feel easy immediately, it's to keep doing it consistently until it does eventually feel easy. Most people report that around the 3-week mark, these habits start to feel less like conscious effort and more like just what you do. Finally, adjust these habits to fit your actual life rather than an idealized version. If you work night shifts, your evening reset might happen at a different time. If you live with roommates who won't participate in a shared reset, focus on the individual habits like designated spots and weekly checks. The principles behind these habits matter more than the exact form. Japanese household culture itself varies widely from home to home. What you're adopting is the mindset of daily maintenance and small, consistent actions, not a rigid system that must be followed exactly. Reset rooms as you leave them to prevent clutter accumulation throughout the day. Use a 10-minute evening reset to close each day with clear common spaces. Apply one in, one out immediately when new items arrive to maintain stable volume. Create designated spots based on your actual usage patterns and use them consistently. Clear horizontal surfaces each night to keep spaces ready for their next use. Group items by category, rather than by room for better inventory visibility. Spend 15 minutes weekly checking one small storage area to prevent disorder from building up. These 7 habits work because they're designed around the reality that organization is something you maintain daily, not something you achieve once and then preserve. And that shift in perspective is what makes Japanese homes stay functional without constant, overwhelming effort. Subscribe if you want more practical approaches to Japanese lifestyle habits that you can actually use in your own home. If any of these 7 habits stood out as something you'll try this week, hit the like button. Which of these habits do you think would make the biggest difference in your daily routine? Or are you already doing any of them? Next video breaks down the Japanese approach to morning routines that set up your entire day without requiring you to wake up earlier.